As Carola and Leslie mentioned earlier, our second panel will focus on experiences from two Latin American countries where certification programs for LGBT owned enterprise have begun. We've got Adrian Russo, the co-founder and president of the LGBT Business and Commerce Chamber of Uruguay, and Vice President of the Tourism Association of Montevideo. And we are also joined by Jimmy Gonzalez, President of the Chamber of Commerce, the LGBT Chamber of Commerce of the Dominican Republic. As we did with the first panel, we asked Adrian and Jimmy to offer us 10-minute presentations each, so we can then have a few minutes to take questions from the audience and for them to respond. So thank you. And I now give the floor to Adrian. So, good morning, everyone. On behalf of the Chamber of Commerce and Business of Uruguay, the LGBT Chamber, I would like to thank you for the invitation to share our experiences and to talk to you about how we are working. I will present an overview of our organization, which was created in 2015. Of course, it was created to work on behalf of and for the LGBT community in our country, and I must recognize the great support and cooperation we got from NGLCC Global and the Regions Chambers that gave us a boost to set up this organization. We started off with 10 businesses as partners in 2015, and we had already been working since 2010 in the field of LGBT tourism, but we thought that it couldn't just boil down to tourism. We also had to participate in the economy at large and encourage business on a broader scale, and that's what led to the growth of our organization, which has several programs running at the moment on diversity, talent, and workplace inclusion through our partner businesses, and we are starting with a certification as well. This was created in Colombia, and this is for end consumers, so inclusive customer service, on the understanding that social networks are a good thing and offer smooth communication. I mean, for example, now we've got Zoom during the pandemic, but any issues related to discrimination obviously can have an impact also when it comes to social media. So the certification has to be very well prepared and designed. And there are also the financial considerations, also access to a diversity credit card. The trans community, for instance, that unfortunately very often does sexual service work. The idea was to try and see how we could help all these people to be able to get a loan and a card. The chamber grew a lot in terms of both members and corporate partners. We have only 3 million inhabitants in Uruguay. We're a small country nested between two large powers and countries, Argentina and Brazil. And right now, we have 154 business companies. We 172 actually, associates and corporate partners. And the work we do also has to do with corporate social responsibility through our chamber. And this we do with civil society organizations who've worked tirelessly and have encouraged the adoption of the laws we now have in the country. You may know we are a reference in terms of LGBT inclusion with marriage equality, adoption, anti-discrimination laws, a law that allows LGBT individuals to join the armed forces. And only a year and a half ago, we had a comprehensive law enacted for trans people, and also a quota for trans people in the workplace. And 90% of the population of our country supported this law, which goes to show that we've also had a cultural change in the country. We work with both the federal and local governments We, for in the states, you've got states. We also offer a lot of training to our civil servants. Telefónica de Uruguay, the telephone company, and the state power company and the state oil company are also strong partners. We offer training to LGBT individuals to be able to have workplace opportunities. We also work a lot in the field of tourism, trying to train not only companies but also all stakeholders to offer comprehensive services. Well, in Uruguay, we have the benefit of the progress in laws, and the strength of the LGBT economy has grown a lot recently. And training and setting up, forming companies owned by LGBT individuals is very important. And inclusive policies in companies at large, that is very important. There's been a lot of awareness raising campaigns, good practices campaigns, and the number of companies involved has grown, but there is still a lot that remains to be done. And actually, things like government procurement, that is an area where we still have a long way to go, I would say. At least it's not a matter that we have yet been able to deal with local governments. You know, the issue of encouraging LGBT-owned businesses is vital, but it requires that we offer training and that we engage, but we need a number of conditions, and we need more growth in companies owned by LGBT persons. We have seen some developments, but we think we are still well below the potential, even though the economy of our country is not that large because we are a small population. But we think we are becoming economically empowered, but there's still work to be done. And for that, what we need to do is to find ways to engage with government, to have quotas or for contracts for these diversity companies and LGBT-owned enterprises in government procurement, so as to see how many contracts we can actually get, how many from national public companies, and also at the local level, because that also helps grow the empowerment levels. In a work, we are still, in a way, we are still lagging behind in our work. I was hearing what Justin said and all the progress they've made, and how much the LGBT economy represents in the world. And that's a kind of environment we want to have for ourselves too. And that's our focus. Of course, we are carrying out these projects, trying to engage with different government entities, so as to be able to also convey this message, to get across the importance of these partnerships that also boost economic empowerment through the creation of more companies, more diverse job opportunities, more diverse training opportunities, and more direct job creation. The creation of LGBT companies also creates more jobs for the community at large. When we look at employment figures, the trans community obviously has difficulties around the world, and here in Uruguay, there's still a lack of training opportunities and of job opportunities. So continuing to grow companies and LGBT businesses will create both direct and indirect employment opportunities for our opportunity to also have our community to have more purchasing power. So the interaction and cooperation with the government becomes essential to achieve these goals. And when we were invited to participate in this webinar, we're really interested to hear how other countries were working, what the IDB was doing. Well, Jimmy Gonzalez and Justin are almost like brothers to us. We've been working together. It is important to have this kind of coordination, and we need to be able to secure these public procurement contracts, which would help us wrap up a full package. Our chamber is very active. It has been recognized locally and internationally, and we have been cooperating with our community. As I said, we are working along with local and federal government levels, but we still need this extra link through cooperation with the IDB and the NGLCC, and the global program may help us get what we need to design arrangements with the government so that we can have an LGBT business contract program in place. So thank you very much. And of course, I'm open to any questions.